Zombie apocalypse media has become incredibly predictable in recent years. The main character is always like, we must survive at all costs, and I'll protect everything I care about, rebuilding society in the process. Then his chinchilla is eaten by a teenage girl on the verge of starvation, and then the main character realizes, damn, it wasn't the zombies that were the true evil, but it was us all along. Shooting the girl in her fucking nose. Even though zombie media has become, for a lack of better words, stale, there are still some classic standouts in the genre like Call of Duty Zombies, The Last of Us, and despite becoming pretty boring in recent years, some newer generation zombies do shine, like Zom 100 for instance. However, the franchise that got many into the zombie apocalypse genre was The Walking Dead. Whether it be the show, the comic books, or the Telltale video game. The Walking Dead Telltale series is iconic in the world of gaming, with a story that most people remember as heartfelt, emotional, a little psychotic, and all around fun. But there's this part in the first season that many overlook. And overlook it they should. This game is incredible in most aspects. The beginning, the middle, the end. It's all awesome throughout, even if it takes a dip in quality each season that releases. So many people cry during the ending. Myself not included, I'm incredibly strong and oh my god, is that a fucking spider? Since this game is a Telltale game, choice is a large factor in it, which is used to a much greater and grander effect than almost every other Telltale game. The only one on par with it being The Wolf Among Us, but that's a video for another sus. The Walking Dead universe is just the real world if the real world was overrun by zombies that can only be killed once the brain is destroyed. And regardless of how you die, you will become one of them if your pink, veiny, giant organ... Okay, get your mind out of the gutter. Another word for it is your head. Yeah, okay, I'm really glad we cleared that up. The Telltale Walking Dead universe is linked to the mainline series, and by that I mean the comic books, not the TV show. The Telltale series opens with Lee Everett on his way to prison, after murdering his co-worker for sleeping with his wife. The police car Lee is in crashes and he has a nap, and a much needed one might I add. I hear slaughtering your wife's lover can get you real exhausted. After having his beauty sleep, he meets Clementine, the main heroine in the entire series. I call her that because she's so cute and likable I could just inject her into my fucking veins. Lee and Clementine meet iconic characters like Herschel and Glenn, as well as fan favorites Keddy and Carly. By the end of episode 1, the group have managed to secure themselves at a motel, Doug has been killed, no other option by the way, and Clementine has broken her walkie-talkie. Or has she? Yeah, no, the walkie-talkie's fine. The next episodes that follow are incredible and only improve upon the first, with the second episode arguably being the best in the whole Telltale series. And as stated at the beginning, you get to make many choices in the game that seem incredibly trivial in the moment, but all snowball into one of the greatest endings in gaming history. At the beginning of the game, you get a little message that states, this game series adapts to the choices you make, the story is tailored by how you play. People seem to believe that this is a lie, since different choices ultimately result in the same outcome. However, it says that the story is changed, not the outcome. So when people inevitably complain about the choice aspect being a lie, it technically isn't. Despite that, the ability of choice in this game is much more intriguing than anything anyone will want by changing endings, settings, and outcomes of problems. Although some choices are easy. He got pulled through a window. Most of the choices you choose in the game are hard choices, depending on how you want Lee to be portrayed. Every episode has one large choice that stands out and is marginally harder than the rest. Episode 1 you choose between Doug and Carly. Yeah, that's the only easy choice. Episode 2 has you choose between saving Larry or killing Larry. Episode 3 has you either keep Lily on the RV after killing Carly, or letting her fucking rot after killing the best woman in the entire fucking series. Episode 4 allows you to kill 2012 PewDiePie or save him, and episode 5 has you let Clementine kill Lee or leave Lee to turn into a walker. These choices at first glance and on a second playthrough are of course pointless. The same outcome will happen in due time. The only differences are the characterization of certain characters being developed more than others. However, there is another choice in episode 2 that leaves the largest impact. Stealing groceries from a station wagon, or leaving the stuff for their rightful owners. There's one big theme with every choice in this game, and that's the theme that the Walking Dead series is known for. Hell, it's what most zombie media is known for. Will you risk your humanity for the survival of you and the people you love? Besides episode 1, all of these choices revolve around this sentiment. In episode 2, you either try to save Larry because it's the right thing to do morally, or you can kill him, eliminating the chances of him turning and killing everyone in the freezer. In episode 3, you bring Lily in the RV for safety, or leave her to be eaten by walkers. And in episode 4, you save Pewds despite being a crutch for survival, or kill Pewds and get worse Kenny character development. But that second large choice in episode 2 is what determines what kind of person you are and would be in the apocalypse. Taking from the station wagon would imply that you're a survivalist who wants to live no matter what, while ignoring that option would state that you're someone who looks for the right morality and would sacrifice your own survival for it. Or maybe you just want to be a good dad. I'd like to know what that's like. I fucking hate my daughter. That's so fucking stupid. All of these choices will result in the ending and the main antagonist as a whole. Of course, there are many antagonistic characters. The Cannibal Boys, Lily, Vernon, hell, even Kenny is an antagonistic force at points. But the main villain isn't the Walkers, and it isn't some I want to rule the world and obtain power villain of the week. It's something much scarier, and I would argue better than most antagonists in this entire franchise. Remember when I said Clementine's walkie-talkie wasn't broken? Well, a man who claims to be in the know of where her parents are talks to her throughout the game after episode 2, asking her questions about everything that you have done in the game. When Clementine is abducted by him in episode 4, Lee sets out to save her and ends up at his hotel room, the station wagon parked right out the front. The man who stole Clementine reveals himself in an incredibly anticlimactic way. He isn't a villain of the week. He forces Lee into a chair and begins to spew his knowledge on everything that happened in the game. He particularly targets the choices that you've made up until this point. Since Clementine tells him everything, he knows about everything that you've done, all of those important choices you've made, and he will scrutinize you for it. The interesting thing about such a great character is that he has no name. He's only referred to as the Stranger. I may be an outlier here, but I personally believe that this is the best written villain in this franchise. Don't get me wrong, the Governor has a manipulative skill that genuinely frightens viewers. Carver has a threatening presence that allows him to control people, and Negan has charismatic charm that helps him lead a large group of survivors. All of these villains want one thing: power. They want the power to do what they want and to be leaders in their own post-apocalyptic government. The Stranger, however, is different. He isn't a guy who wants power. He isn't a guy who wants to rule over everyone. He's a broken man who was the result of one of the choices you made. He's a man who has lost his family and can't get the necessary help he needs to accept, and blames it on the man who was a singular bolt in the large cog that puts the pieces into motion. Therapy is null and void in a world of destruction. Furthermore, the Stranger is a personification, a caricature of who you have decided to be, and if you're happy with who that is. It doesn't matter if you do what's best for survival or what is best for your mental state. He will challenge the choices you've made and if you like who you've become. It's revealed that he accidentally got his son killed and that the food in the wagon would smooth everything over with his wife. But the food was gone. It doesn't matter if you stole the food or not, he will blame you regardless. With the help of Clementine, Lee will then kill the Stranger and escape with her, leading to her discovering the truth about her parents and having to leave Lee to die or put him out of his misery. There's so much to say about the Stranger and so many interpretations of his words that anything I say here really isn't of any value to some people. It's also just a video game, so it probably won't be any sort of value to anybody in the long run anyways. The sun's gonna explode and we're all gonna die. I am severely depressed. The choices that you make don't change the game as a whole, it changes the story and the characters. But this part of the game puts all of that to a halt and spits in your face. Your choices mean nothing in a world like this. You will always be the bad guy. If you do what it takes to survive, you are ruining the society that was once established, and you are irredeemable. If you do what it takes to keep society as it once was, you are putting your allies and the people you care about at risk of injury or death, and you are irredeemable. The choices help you to realize which camp you fall into. These choices may be an illusion to some, but they are a means to discovering who you would be in a world that ends in catastrophe. In fact, that's how most Telltale and Decision games are like. The Wolf Among Us, Until Dawn, even Detroit Become Human's choices don't influence the story that much. Although I could go into the programming and development aspect of how much time it would take to create an entire game built off of the premise that a whole plot could diverge into hundreds of different ones, that isn't what I'm here to do. Plus, it's pretty boring to most people. The Walking Dead Telltale story isn't one of rebuilding civilization like the comic books. It isn't about surviving as long as you can like Call of Duty Zombies. It isn't giving you the advice to live life to the fullest like Zom 100, and it isn't delving into the psychology of a man who needs a reason to keep living. It's a story about knowing what part you want to play and who you would associate with in a world like this. It's a story about realizing that no matter what you do, the choices you make will affect people, and sometimes these effects will be negative. The stranger is just a man like you or me who can't accept the reality that it's his own fault that his family died. He's the vessel for you to see what most people would be like in the apocalypse if we lost the people we love most. Most wouldn't be a badass like Rick Grimes who can save everyone despite losing it all. Most wouldn't be an iconic figure like Negan. Most people would be a shell of who they once were, trying to grab any semblance of life that they used to have. Hey fellas, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I highly suggest that you watch my new Vegas is Still Incredible video. I put so much time and effort into it. I honestly think it's the best thing that God could have ever created. I'm God, of course. Huge shout out to my boy CJ on the Patreon. He is an absolute king. Literally, I heard he owns a piece of land in Scotland or something. Thanks for watching, people, and I'll see you in, I don't know, maybe a month?